Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We have a great panel. We have people who are well-versed in both digital and physical art displays. So much of the conversation at this conference has been about decentralization and giving back the space for creators, but I would like to argue, as someone who has worked in the art world, that there is still very much a place for galleries and display spaces. And so for people who are mobilizing those spaces, they're also pivotal to making the market for crypto art. So maybe we can go around and introduce ourselves.
Sure, thank you. Hey everyone, I'm Yannick Folla. By day, I'm the head of product at Figment, a blockchain infrastructure company, and by night, I'm the co-founder of Zero X Society, Canada's first NFT museum.
Hi everyone, my name is Gregoire Vogelsang. I'm the founder of the Cube Art Fair. Cube Art Fair is an in-person physical art fair that pivots to become a platform that features NFT art in real life.
My name is Ling-Yun Tang, and I'm a user experience researcher by way of academia and the art world. And most recently, I've been working with Data Vault, which is a startup company that is helping galleries to mint NFTs with their artists.
Hi guys, I am the Bitcoin Queen. I work with BitBosel and a couple other projects such as Splinterlands, shout out Splinterlands, Bros, that's Ken Bozak's brand, and all the in-between. If you guys have any questions, come talk to me.
And to start, I wanted to ask my co-panelists to talk about their experiences with setting up digital displays and exhibitions. We have representatives from nonprofit world, from the for-profit world, coming from tech, coming from the art world. So maybe we can open the floor to describing what that process has been like. What do you define as success, and maybe some of the pitfalls along the way?
Sure, happy to start. So we've taken both a physical and a virtual approach to displaying crypto art. So we have about 4,000 square feet in downtown Montreal, displaying NFT exhibitions. So we have 13 screens where every exhibition is organized around a theme, and then we recruit artists that will create a piece uniquely for the exhibition around that theme and sell it themselves on Super Rare. And we replicate that exhibition on Spatial in a virtual gallery. So the goal was always to help more people discover digital art, discover NFTs, and it felt necessary to use both the physical and the virtual mediums to open up this market to more people.
Yeah, so talking about Cube Art Fair, we are actually from the physical world. We actually saw an opportunity to amplify our mission as Cube Art Fair, which is featuring the creativity of artists in front of the public, in the public place. And today what we do by featuring, using murals, kiosks, hundreds of billboards around cities such as New York, Miami, Brussels, is really amplify our mission as Cube Art Fair to educate the general public about NFTs, showing that there is actually talent behind the artwork. There is a creative mind that actually create the artwork. And once you see it physically on the street, it becomes like more clear for the general public. So we have also this mission to, beyond helping our artists to reach to a wider audience, we have also this mission to educate the general public about NFT, and so far it's been very exciting.
So I do want to say that BitBosel takes a similar approach to what you guys do, where we do have pop-up galleries. If you guys are going to be in Miami for Art Week, come to the Sagamore Hotel. We're going to be there all week. And DeCentralCon. DeCentralCon is coming to Miami as well. But some downfalls, because you did ask about downfalls. Education. Education is always a barrier to entry, and that's something that we still face. we've come a long way. I mean, look at this conference. I remember coming here the first year, and it wasn't nearly half of what it is today, and it's amazing. NFTs have kind of become a new leadway into mass adoption. It used to be Bitcoin, and I started meeting people who got into crypto because of blockchain gaming, and it's starting to turn into something amazing. And I think that this is what we wanted. But downfalls is always going to be education. It's always getting people to understand what they're getting into. When it comes to NFTs, some people don't know what they're buying. Setting up centers or having these pop-up locations where people can come and enjoy, that's really what makes sense. But I'd say that's the biggest downfall.
Yeah, I would echo that. I think in my experience, just trying to understand traditional art world participants, whether it's galleries or collectors or even artists who work in more traditional media, trying to understand and wrap their minds around NFTs is a challenge. And then let alone expecting them to go on some website and mint something. I think we still have a ways to go. What do you think you can do better? I mean, do you see any points for improvement for onboarding or for more education, more exposure?
Well, I mean, the issue is definitely onboarding. People come, for example, to the gallery, love what they see, they love learning about this new technology and this new art medium that hopefully by the end of the tours that we give, they understand that this is an artistic medium that they should respect on the same level as other contemporary mediums. But then they have no way to buy because they don't have ETH, for example. And if they want to acquire ETH, then it will take a few days to wire money to an exchange and then open up a MetaMask, and then they'll come back and they'll forget about it. So I think that's the biggest onboarding issue because for education, let's say on our side, what we do is private tours at the gallery. So we explain the background of every artist displayed, every artwork, and explain more about NFT so that people understand the value of it. We have also created an academy where we've written about 50 pages worth of content of everything you should know as an artist and a collector. And we've started a grants program where we onboard 13 Canadian artists to the space by giving them weekly seminars, paying for all their minting fees, listing fees. So education, I think, will have more and more resources going forward, but there's still so much friction on the onboarding level that I think for collectors that are not yet crypto native, we're not necessarily there yet.
Yeah, I agree with you, for sure. One thing that I've noticed what companies are starting to do is they're starting to accept credit card instead of trying to transact in cryptocurrency, which I feel like it has a slightly negative, not negative, but overall what happens is when they do want to do stuff on the secondary market, they have to transact in crypto at that point in time. Even to sell their piece. So it might not be too bad of an idea if they get on with a card and then take that extra step of transacting. A lot of platforms have been doing that. But some of the collectors say, oh, well, it affects the price of the coin, which we're not going to look at that anyways. But, so one thing that I love about the Miami community is that it's basically kind of composed of the same people, and everyone you meet at meetups, everyone's just very welcoming. And I find it, like you said, education is something that we're going to get there. But I feel like it's one of the first things that they need to understand overall. But it's tough. You're right.
Yeah, and the conclusion of that is that perhaps we have it's showed and we have a new audience. There is actually a new audience and of people who maybe doesn't even own art on their wall. They buy NFTs because it's fun. They think is they've this excitement about this segment. And what we try to do is really creating a specific program for this new audience that we didn't were able to reach out to before, and hoping by reaching out to them and building relationship with them, that on the long term we could also do a bridge and selling them physical work. And I think that's a really a key component of it, is that building relationship, and the relationship has been changed, I will say, between now artists and collectors are directly in touch, and and the collectors are more, in a way, more involved. You know, they follow the artist's career, and so bridging between buying NFTs and the physical artwork is something that we care deeply about and that we believe on the long run.
Right, and I think, interestingly, Gregoire, what you're pointing out is sort of the flip of what I had in mind, which is to get traditional buyers onboarded to the crypto space.
Also.
But what you're talking about is people who are coming from solely purchasing NFTs and then learning about traditional art and crossing over that
the
way.
bridge
Which
is open
happening.
on both sides, yeah.
And that's exciting. And so, Yannick, you had also mentioned the grants program that you have and some of the ways that you've been facilitating the careers or to support the careers of your artists. How do you think the nonprofit model that you have followed impacts on the experience of digital art collecting and enjoyment?
Yeah, great question. So, you know, when I wanted to start this project, obviously I had to choose between the for-profit route and the nonprofit route, and I felt like it was too early for this space to even think about for-profit galleries or the traditional gallery model that would take 50% of any sales of those artists. Felt like we had a long way to go to educate local markets before. And for me, it was important to not have pressure to sell for those artists, but rather to give them a platform where we could display their art and impress people regarding what digital art is. So it really puts us more in a position of educators, and I use the term museum more than a gallery when I presented Zero X Society, because that's what we are for me. We are a place of learning, of education, and a gateway into art, into digital art, into NFTs, more than a place to sell art to people. Artworks are all for sale when they're created for the exhibitions, but they're sold by the artist on Super Rare on their own account. So it's kind of the best of both worlds for me, where I give a platform to artists and they're still able to benefit fully from the creation and the sale of their art.
Just to follow up on that a little bit, when the artists, I don't know how many iterations of this program you've had, but you did mention that some of the artists do sell on their own. Have you had any feedback on, the impact of first having displayed with you and then going out into the marketplace?
Yeah, sure. So, well, first thing to mention, the grants program is separate from the exhibitions themselves. We're entering our third exhibition next week. Actually, we just announced our artist today. And the grants program actually started 6 weeks ago. So for the grants program, it's usually artists that are in the digital or the physical medium that have never created an NFT yet. And we go through every step of the way, from understanding cryptocurrencies and how to secure a wallet, all the way through how to value your art and understanding collector mentality. And they love it so far. I mean, it's a great way to learn, and we really take the time to go over the biggest myths or issues that people usually have around the value of digital art, for example. As a side note, the most fun I have is when people ask me, but if anybody can own the file, why would there be value for the NFT? And it's actually
just take a screenshot.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's actually digital art's biggest feature for me. Splitting the ownership feature with the display feature allows the many to view it and appreciate it and to know a piece, and only the few or the only to own it. And I like using the example of the Mona Lisa. Why is it the most valuable artwork in the world? Well, it's not because Da Vinci is the most accomplished artist or because it's the most aesthetically pleasing, but it's because it's been the most seen in person, shared on social media, photographed, shared in movies, and with that comes status, and with that comes value. And digital art has that really fast iteration and flywheel of value because it is shared. So that's what we do.
Terrific. And then likewise for...
It's actually true in the physical world. Artists, when you mentioned, and you have artists are sharing and is the most viewed. At the end of the day, when you're an artist, you're running a little company. You're running a business, and the more actually the public, the general public, if the opportunity to come across your work, come across your name, the more likely you're gonna create gross sales every year a little bit better, and that's what it's all about. Each time an artist exhibit somewhere, it's basically nothing more than one more inch than they build on building their career, but eventually on the long run, that paid off. And NFTs is one of the key elements today where artists should definitely get involved. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, and we can be sure that every artist on the long run will have NFTs as part of the portfolio of, in addition to what other element they already propose.
I wanted to bounce off your point when you were talking about the Mona Lisa, because it's true and people don't realize that. They don't realize that art is one of the few things that you can value, and you can buy something for $200,000 and you can resell it to a museum for, let's say, $1 million because you said so. And that's common, but I don't think people realize that, which is unfortunately the common truth is that's why there's so much money laundering that happens in the art, traditional art realm, which we don't necessarily want to invite into this, crypto space. I know that there's platforms like OpenSea you have to check off before you mint, if you're minting on there, that you're not trying to manipulate the market or you're not trying to do anything crazy. But my point was, I forgot. Resale representation, Bitbasel, artist. Not if, but when. There we go. So you're right. It's not about if or when. We are in the era of technology, and this is the first time in history that people can actually represent themselves. Like, those were starving artists back in the day, and because you're right, everything got reshared and things went up in value. But now artists can actually give themselves a face. They can give themselves a voice, whether they're in Miami and they have collectors in China. This is the time. So blockchain technology and Web3 is very impactful for any market overall. But when it comes to authenticity and using NFTs to show the world like what we have, because it's really hard to make. It's really hard to authenticate stuff when you're selling it overseas. Like, for example, if you have a Picasso, you have to pay $1 million just for them to validate your Picasso. You can solve that with blockchain. You can solve that with digital pieces. And that I feel like that's really where it impacts, because these are going to be things where in the long term, we're going to be able to tell the fakes from the reals. Whether it's physical or digital, you can embed technology if you do have a physical, different things over time, but the time is now. You're right. It's not about if, it's when.
I'd love to hear you talk about the challenges that you face having a for-profit gallery model in a digital world, if any.
Yeah, say again?
So do you face some pushback from artists when you're promoting a traditional gallery model in the digital world?
Well, the thing is, that's what we've been doing all along from over 10 years now. So we are already, we've built over the year relationship with all our artists. So they actually really excited when we came up with like a new project. And what we try to do is make sure that the when is not in 4 years, and make sure that the when is now, and then they are part of the leader in this new category. So yeah, it's very exciting, and yeah, I definitely think that there is tremendous amount of potential for the future, for them to really empower, for artists to empower their career, and there is nothing wrong with that, with making money. So, and that's what we try to add value to these artists, to say, we can help you growing your business. We can help you making more money.
I tend to agree that we're already seeing it. Artists, when NFTs really picked up early this year, there was a lot of interest in the market for NFTs and very little artists. So it was very easy for artists to promote themselves, to be their own brand managers, and to be successful. As we onboard the next 100,000 artists, I think we'll get back to the same issues that we have in the traditional art world, which is, artists don't have time to be CEOs of their own brand and also great artists, or some of them can, but I think you'll always have demand for these kinds of services that a gallery are experts in providing.
Yeah, I think the artist should be the first ambassador of their work, should be the artist himself. We are just a facilitator, I will say. That's how I will describe what we do. So we can help them to go to the next level, but we're not replacing the fact that they are the CEO of their own company. And they have to keep that in mind. And when you keep that in mind, it's actually easy to build your business as an artist, because you set goal and you know where you want to go.
So in the last couple of minutes that we have here, one of the words that's been tossed around here is value. And while I think it's very easy to conflate that with monetary value, I'm wondering if you can just give me a lightning round of what other things to you constitute value in this production and consumption relationship?
Yeah, so first, the way you value digital art is exactly the same way you value traditional art. It's all about, yes, the aesthetic of the work, but after that, it's all about the artist, who they are, what they've accomplished, where they've been exhibited, who's collected their work, how's their price evolving over time. So I think there's a lot of parallels that I think any contemporary collector would be comfortable with. But I do believe firmly that the traditional art market will be overtaken in terms of market size by the digital art market within 5 years, because you have these digitally native features that are killer features with digital art. We talked about splitting that ownership ability with the ability to enjoy an artwork, but you also have long tail liquidity, right? If you go in a gallery in New York and you buy an artwork for $3K, and in a year that artist is now selling for $10K, you might want to sell that artwork, but where are you going to go? It's not expensive enough to be accepted by auction houses or galleries, or they'll take 50% off. So you'll try Craigslist, and you'll probably get $200 in a toaster in exchange. Here you have access to global base of collectors that understand the value of art, understand the value of an artist. So big advantage there. It allows you to create some kind of velocity in the market where an investor or collector can make bets early on an artist, knowing that if his bets are right, he'll be able to reinvest profits into the industry, bringing even more capital. Whereas in the traditional art world, that velocity is very absent, I'd say. Usually the art is a store of value that's meant to be kept for generations. So you're kind of losing out on that. And obviously the nice bonus, I'd say, of having no restoration costs, no storage costs. You don't have to have your painting that's worth $1 million in an airport in Switzerland and not enjoy it. You can have your NFT on a ledger and have the real deal on all your screens if you want. And I'd say to finish off on that value creation, just the ability to display and enjoy digital art in so many mediums, whether it's on your phone, on your TV screen, on your laptop, in VR, in AR, in holograms. I think that allows us to enjoy art in a deeper way, connect with art in a deeper way, and it will bring more people to the art market. So I do think digital art is an incredible gateway to art.
And you have also collectors who simply want to support. They want to support, like in the real world, they say, this artist and I admire is doing NFTs. I want to buy one just because it's an artist and I admire already. So that's also a category of clients, and that's also exciting for artists who just made their first work to see, oh my God, he actually sell, and that's very exciting to see that.
I want to say those were great answers, but we're out of time. The other thing, guys, utility. Look into utility if it's not supporting the artist, but go ahead.
Utility is important, having the ability for IP and us to be able to have legacy. Thank you so much. Our NFT Art Galleries here. We welcome you to find all of our guests here on social media And in the program, you can find and connect with them. I know, Gregoire, I think I'm going to see you soon, maybe in the next few days for sure, right? And if not, sometime in December. Let's give a round of applause for our panelists.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.